Good morning, everybody. It's so embarrassing when your countdown clock gets to 0 and then it starts at 60 again.
They say if it's nice, do it twice.
Yeah, good morning. Morning. Jack McClunt is here and we are ready.
Good morning.
Into your Wednesday. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you, big guy?
Very good.
All good.
Very good.
All good.
It's that time of year where we start to warm up. We start to head downhill towards the holidays,
Hey.
It's not that far away.
I actually noticed something spectacular this morning.
Tell me.
I noticed that the sun was rising at 5:45. Can you believe that?
News. This is the good news, everybody.
Mm.
If you're off to a good start, and if you're not yet, then we will get you there. Promise you. Bitcoin bot saying the sound is a bit messed up for Gareth. Is there a problem? Oh, okay. All right, they're fixing it. Don't worry. So it sounds like I'm in a bubble, according to these people. Going through a tunnel. What do you want to do? Swap microphones?
No, I think the cable.
Change the cable?
No.
Oh. But you see, that's Flex, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
Hiding under the desk here. There he is. See, he's a real person. You think it's better now? No.
Is it not better?
No.
Apparently, I was loud as hell as well.
We didn't test this morning before we started, did we?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Jack will do the show. I'll just sit here.
Yeah, so this week we are going to take a monster dump on...
Oh.
Just kidding. No, I'm playing. I was just playing games.
I do have a really horrible story. I mean, let's just start this one off because this is quite incredible. So apparently they found a guy, I think this is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But they found a guy who is 36, an Italian male, tested for Mpox, monkeypox, COVID-19, and HIV simultaneously.
Like,
the hell's that all about?
And I remember when they were telling us how we transfer or transmit the COVID virus. Yeah. This guy is having a very hectic life.
Well, he apparently he confirmed all of these symptoms after returning from a trip to Spain during which he engaged in unprotected sex. It's notable that the symptoms of COVID-19 and Mpox overlapped, posing challenges for accurate diagnosis. Following the onset of symptoms, the patient tested for COVID-19 on July the 2nd of that year. Following day, he developed small painful vesicles and a rash. Ugh. Have you seen what this Mpox looks like?
It looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible.
I don't know how much of it is just bullshit, right? Because we've been lied to so much that I just don't trust these people anymore in governments all over the world, the World Health Organization. I don't, and it might be to my detriment. But the last time we trusted them, remember what happened.
Yeah.
So if Mpox is what they say it is, and they're showing like these pictures, these terrible like blisters all over people, looks revolting.
It does.
Then I'm just not having sex ever again. That's it. If that's the way to protect myself, you know what? Frankly, I'll do without.
I am sorry. I'm willing to risk it for a biscuit.
Really?
I'm going to risk it for a biscuit. What?
You come back here full of those blisters?
I won't come back here.
You'll die.
I'll come somewhere, but I won't be back here.
I've often thought about this. It's like how many stupid things we do, especially guys. It's less of a stupid thing in the girls' universe as it is ours. The things we do for sex, for that couple of minutes of pleasure.
Oi.
Think about how much money you've spent over your life. Think about how many dumb, inane conversations you've been in. Think of how many crazy distances you've traveled.
How many lies?
How many lies? Just think about the work that went in to try to get laid. Right?
Dude, the thing is, when you think about how great it is, it makes sense why we go through all of the things we go through to get some.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, this guy apparently, his vesicles evolved into pustules. This is beautiful, prompting the patient to seek medical attention. Additionally, he was screened for multiple sexually transmitted infections. Okay, he was just a dirty. I mean, like, you know what? Let's just, in order to calm our nerves, we don't need to be more frightened in the world in 2024 than we already are.
Yeah.
There's war on. There's
there's a lot.
There's Trump versus Harris. There's nuclear Armageddon on the horizon. We've gone through one pandemic, which turns out to have been just a complete waste of time.
Yep.
People are not happy about what the future of the economy looks like anywhere in the world. So let's just accept that this one guy is not the test case. He is a dirty ass, filthy, sleeps around with everybody, man whore. And that's why this happened to him.
Here's the thing, right? So when you consider just how much a man has to get together in order to sleep with a woman, like you need to be charming, you need to be well dressed. There's so many boxes you need to tick.
Not always. Depends on the quality of the woman.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do none of those things. Sometimes you just have to be in a place.
But this guy, if I was writing the article covering this guy's story, the headline would read, "Go hard or go home."
Is that what you would say?
Yeah, go hard or go home. I love it. Collect all of those diseases. Like he's like the Thanos of diseases, just walking around collecting infinity disease stones.
Well, it is like, I mean, if you were a religious type of person, you would say this is sure proof that God does not like people sleeping around.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If you're not a religious type, it's like, don't sleep around. That's the kind of clear message here.
Long story short.
And I think the solution to any of this is either to be celibate, which I wouldn't recommend. I don't think it's a mentally healthy place to be.
There's some benefits
celibate.
to it.
There are benefits, sure.
Yeah.
I've never tried it for very long. Sounds to me like it's really boring. But faced with that or pustules, I'm going to maybe go with a celibate. And then the other alternative is to just get married and settle down with one person who you know is not going to cheat on you.
I'm in.
Okay?
I choose that one.
That's what has made the foundation of societies since the dawn of time.
Yep.
And yeah, I know there are lots of people who are like, oh, it's the era of the slut. And, you'll got to just sleep around and do whatever you want and free expression and be your true self and be your feelings and all that stuff. But maybe nature itself is rebelling against that.
Yeah.
That's all I can think.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't want to overanalyze it, but I don't like the sound of this Mpox shit. I'm certainly not going to go into lockdown or take government sanctioned injections.
Yeah, no. That's definitely not happening.
Who did I bump into the other day? It was a policeman who said to me, they mustn't try that shit again. A policeman.
Yeah.
He's like, they mustn't try that shit again on us. So I said to him, really? He's like, it was hard. I had to arrest people for stupid things. He said, looking back, it was embarrassing. He thinks it actually affected the authority of the police negatively, which it definitely did. It affected the authority of government negatively. And I think only the most craven, spineless, slave people will accept government telling them you got to go into lockdown or you got to get this or you got to do that. I don't see anybody but idiots falling for that crap.
Yeah, I'm definitely not falling for it. And
I don't think so either.
Like any person that's still on the fence about it, like, or they still believe that we should just follow what the government says and we should take vaccines and all of this stuff.
Please.
Yeah, I don't know. We might be better off without you, actually.
Kathy Lee says they suck my hind tit. She's not messing around this Wednesday morning.
No, she's not. I love it.
Yes.
I love the energy.
Can I say that I had, I just love, you know what? One of the things I love about being South African, I'm so happy. Biltong. Dude, it's just such a small thing, but it makes me so goddamned happy.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing better than really, really good biltong. And there are a couple of butcheries that I've gone to in my time. Some of them make it beautifully. Some of it's just like dried, desiccated meat. It's not fun. But some
places get it
they just know what they're doing, right?
There's this butcher in this butchery, rather, not a butcher, in Klerksdorp that I went to a couple of years ago.
That's a long way away.
Yeah. But the biltong was that good, Gareth.
Worth it.
It was worth it. Like, you bite into that thing and you actually notice that the earth is moving. It's just absolutely delicious.
So I know that I know that the French have all this fancy cuisine.
They eat snails. So
they do. But they eat terrible stuff. I mean, listen, and also if you've ever been to France and you've tried their food in situ, it's mostly the atmosphere, it's the theater of it. It's got nothing to do with the food itself. No one goes, escargot, perfect. I love this. I want this every night. No. You could have biltong every day.
Yeah, you could.
You didn't have to have a lot, but you could have a little bit of biltong every day. They say it's one of the healthiest snacks you can have, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. It's protein, a little bit of fat there, the healthy kind.
Okay, now I'm going to pick up some biltong on my way to the office.
I mean, so this is what I did yesterday. And I think we should stop messing around. Like, we're trying to find our national cuisine, and people are talking about like pap and shawa, and they're talking about braais and all this stuff. It's not. It's just biltong. Let's just accept it. Because everywhere in the world, when people try it, they go,
Mm-hmm.
You know, unless they're vegan, and frankly, who cares what vegan thinks?
Yeah.
Vegans' opinions are not required when it comes to food. Thank you very much.
And then
there's a lawn right outside for them to go munch on if they have anything to add.
You know what I mean? And last week when Timothy was on the show, he told us that he was vegan. He says,
I know.
They don't invite me to the braai. Like, what are you doing?
I saw your face as he said vegan. You were like, oh, I'm so disappointed because I really liked you up to there.
Yeah, like we were on the same page. Mind you, I'm a recovering vegan, by the way.
Oh.
I was vegan for a while.
Oh, Jesus.
And I realized the fallacy that is veganism. Like, it doesn't make sense. Guys, think about it this way. Life is about balance. You shouldn't be walking around just eating meat or just eating veggies.
Sure.
You need to mix it up a little bit. Find a balance.
We know we've got a problem in South Africa with males of a certain age. They have heart problems. They end up with various circulatory conditions as a result of cholesterol, as a result of too much red meat. Okay, so we know that. And even if that's not the only cause, because I know I'm going to get a doctor somewhere saying to me, that's not why we have cholesterol. Some people, it's just genetic. Cool. I think there's too much of anything. What Jack is saying is spot on, like a bit of balance, which means that if you like biltong, don't have it every day, but you can have a little bit once, twice a week. It's expensive. I mean, Mapelo puts this comment up. Sorry, Mfundo says, biltong is the most expensive snack. Seriously, it is.
It is, yeah.
Maybe because it's good.
And justifiably so. I was just about to say so.
Good,
yeah.
Janine says, GC, no longer worried about what to get you for your birthday. I mean, I make mean biltong. Ooh, you make it. Now that's impressive.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I remember when I was a kid, my dad made biltong a couple of times, but I never really was paying attention, and I should have. So I better ask him about that before it's too late and the recipe is lost to time.
Yeah, we
Patrick
can't have
says,
that.
I have hereditary cholesterol. So what? I chow biltong every day. You see? There we go.
Patrick sounds like he needs to join that man in Spain. They are balls to the wall.
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home.
All right. So a couple of things. Just quickly, I saw this from the owner of X, Twitter, Elon Musk, this morning. He put up a picture of a whole bunch of gun emojis. Have you got that picture for us? This is very, very depressing because if you look at it, going your x-axis, we've got Apple, Google, Microsoft, Samsung, Facebook, and X. Okay, and then on your y-axis, you've got the different years from 2013 to 2024, and it's got a little emoji icon of guns. Now, I got to say, Google starts off with the coolest one. It's like a 16th century flintlock pistol. Okay, that's very cool. We've got a revolver for Apple, a revolver for Samsung, revolver for Facebook, revolver for X. And then for Microsoft, you've got some piss-widdly, made-up like Nerf gun type thing, right?
It looks like it should be in Despicable Me.
It's so bad. It's like, would it pew, pew, pew? How would that sound? Like the Star Wars
exactly
troopers guns. Okay. Just pew, 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 pew. And eventually, somewhere around 2016, even Microsoft's embarrassed and they joined the Revolver Club. Right. And 2016 is like, and 2017, a high watermark for the gun emoji.
Mm.
Because the only loserish, woke, boring, lame, backward, pathetic, pussified stuff belongs to Apple. And it's driven me crazy since 2016 that when I look up the gun, nothing comes up. I have to look up water pistol, and it gives me that shitty little green gun, which, I mean, frankly, you know, that's not even pew pew. That's psh, 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 psh. Okay. As someone who is an enthusiast for guns, I have always been a responsible legal gun owner. I go to the trouble of going to the range as often as I can because I think it's fun and because I like to keep myself practiced.
Yeah.
Also going to keep your weapon clean. You got to keep using up the ammunition because it doesn't last forever and it can get, you know, stodgy and doesn't fire as well. And you need to keep replacing this stuff.
Yeah.
So I go to the range, also keep the eye in, and you think you're still a good shot, but you're not. And then you have to get practice in. And I'll sometimes go clay pigeon shooting. I haven't been hunting for a long, long time. We won't even go into that because some people get very, very upset. It's linked to the vegan thing in some ways.
Yeah, whatever. Quit crying, do some push-ups or something.
I'm so sad to see that we can't even, like, there are people in this world who are so dumb and so sensitive and so caught up in their feelings that you can't even show them an emoji of a gun without their whole worldview falling apart. Like, whether the people who made the pew pew or the psh psh guns part of our lexicon in terms of emojis or emoticons, whether they are in favor of it or not, there are actual guns in the world. And you know what? There are a lot of them that are being used right now to do terrible things. And no amount of emoji with a pew pew or a psh psh is going to change that.
Yep, without a shadow of a doubt.
I just wish we could stop being so goddamned pathetic. Like, just it's an emoji. It's no, but it's violence. It's violence. You can't use a gun emoji. It's too violent. I'm gonna cry. Who is the person who thought that? Just bring that thing back up. Okay. So I see now in 2024. Let's skip to the end because maybe some people think I'm being hysterical here. Okay. We've got a psh, psh. We've got a psh, psh. We've got a psh, psh. And then finally you've got an actual gun. And the only one that isn't totally pussified is X.
Yep.
Which is, funnily enough, exactly what happens when you look at the comments or you look at anyone's feed on any of the others. You are censored. You are edited. You are reprimanded. You are accused of disinformation or misinformation if you don't fulfill certain requirements on any of those others. But on X, you can still be real.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even know that it's about politics or it's about wokeism, leftism, rightism, fascism, whatever your thing. It's none of those things. You know what it is? It's reality, like the world we actually live in, and fantasy, a world that you live in your head, but that doesn't actually exist. And you just got to decide which one you're in. Are you in the real world where there are actual real guns and people have real opinions and sometimes people can be mean? Or are you in the fantasy world where you're trying to pretend, because it's not real, you're trying to pretend that everything is as it is in your Teletubby land in your head? And I feel desperately sorry for people who are stuck in Teletubby land because it's not how it works.
It really
isn't. At some point, you're going to hit your head against reality, and then you're going to break down completely because you've got no built-in immunity to it. You've spent zero time actually learning about the real world, and 100% of your time has been spent negotiating, navigating, and protecting your precious feelings. It's just ridiculous.
So I was thinking about this last night, actually. You know how the left has continuously said there's things that are social constructs and we shouldn't just follow where, you know, society has been this entire time?
Yeah, critical theory, everything's made up.
Right.
You just have to redefine things.
We need to
choose new words.
Yep.
You'll change reality. But
And the people that are most guilty of it now are the people that are saying that our entire existence was a social construct. It's like, but guys, how can you revolt against something and then replace it with the exact same thing?
correct. Thank you.
How?
Thank you. You've just taken this thing full circle, like the Ouroboros. You know,
What
the
is
snake
that?
that's eating its own tail.
Yes.
It's just this does bother me. I mean, you see it day to day, mostly not in the real world. It's mostly on social media, which is not real. Okay, but the realest of them is probably going to be X.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this morning by way of illustration. Like, you can believe whatever bullshit they serve to you, but then that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you think that, for example, I mean, I see a lot of noise this morning about Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and the EFF. Okay, this is maybe not the best example, but it's on my mind, so I'm going to use it anyway. So, you know, Floyd resigned from the EFF the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Big story. We didn't really cover it much because it was Friday, and we were like, who wants to be talking about politics on a Friday? Right, exactly.
Much less the EFF.
So we avoided it. But it was a really interesting moment, because what you've got there is Jacob Zuma ensuring the continuation of MK when he's gone. He's collecting like people. You can argue that he's collecting the very worst people from all over the place, and that the MK party is just really the most terrible collection of disgruntled thieves who are currently not thieving. You know, currently they don't have their hands on anything they can steal.
Yeah.
Only because they're not in proximity to power. But Floyd moving across there is a big blow to Julius and the EFF. I mean, I don't see how the EFF can go anywhere but down from here. They were already going down in terms of the numbers. So it was slight. But then when it starts breaking up from the inside out, it's an obvious sign that the place is falling apart.
It really is.
So now it's like Julius is the guy who's running a party that's actually just a one-man band. Right? And it's going like this. Now, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is like the third in command there. And when Floyd was there, he was definitely not superior to Floyd or Julius.
Nope.
Yeah, those two were like the kingpins. This guy was like the brains of the business, you know? So I just had a line from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels pop into my head that ties together all of this stuff. So you got Hatchet Harry sitting at his desk with a whole bunch of sex toys, and you've got Baptist Barry who's sitting there. Baptist Barry has to tell these two idiots they have to go and steal 2 shotguns. That's why it came to my mind from a house in England somewhere. So he goes, "What I want you to do is to go in and get these 2 shotguns." So the guy goes, "Shotguns? Is that like guns that fire shots?" And he looks at him and goes, "Oh, you must be the brains in the business." "That's right, guns that fire shots." Anyway, so Mbuyiseni's like the brains in the business, right?
Yes.
Now, he doesn't really know what to do, because if he was street smart, like you said earlier when we were talking before the show, Jack, give him credit where it's due. He's like, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi's book smart, not street smart.
Yep.
And a really wily politician would say, there's a gap. If I fill that gap, now I become the 2 I see.
Yep.
And I can direct the future of this party, maybe save it, maybe build it,
in fact,
maybe grow it.
If he was genuinely street smart, the way I know certain politicians to be, with the elective conference coming up in December, from the 13th to the 16th of December, I would have positioned myself to actually challenge Julius Malema for that top position.
Because there are a lot of people who really like Mbuyiseni Ndlozi.
They love Mbuyiseni.
Right. Now, I've had his number on my phone for a long time, because I had a couple of interviews with him when he just started with the EFF. And he is a smart guy.
He is.
Has some good ideas, has some terrible ideas. But he could have positioned himself as the real brains in the business, and people would have gone, you know what? Actually, that's what we need. No more populism and stupidity. Let's get someone who's got real brains, someone who can figure stuff out. I mean, I don't like any of his policies, just for the record.
Sure.
But there are people who do. And he could have appealed to those people.
See, he's got balance. That balance I was talking about earlier on. So he is from Soweto. He is, from Sebokeng, excuse me.
Yeah, you have to sell this to me properly. Go.
Right? Number 1, So he's got the historical struggle background, if I can put it that way. So that gives him a couple of brownie points. Number two, he's young. Like we said, he's what? He's in his 40s now?
I think he's even 30s.
30s. Listen to that. That is even more fantastic.
Yeah.
Number three, he speaks English in a accent that makes white people comfortable. And whether we like it or not,
you think that's important?
it is important. It is important. Look, I genuinely believe that although Julius Malema has said a lot of crazy shit in the past, one of the major things that makes white people uncomfortable with Julius is how he talks. I kid you not.
Probably. I mean, there's stupid people everywhere, and I can't account for them.
Yeah.
What really makes me worry about Julius is the things he's saying, not the way he says them.
The truth. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of crazy statements that we can attribute to Mr. Malema, but like, it's okay, that tone.
But here's the important thing: is Mbuyiseni's not doing any of this. He's not grabbing hold of the opportunity, which either shows you that he's not as wily as we had hoped he was, or that he's afraid. Might just be like lack of courage.
See, those options keep getting worse, Gareth.
Okay, so anyway, the reason we brought him up is because you either live in reality or you live in a fantasy. So your fantasy could be that you're going to take over a political party, or you're going to join another political party or whatever, but you never do anything. So it remains a fantasy. You know, if Leonardo da Vinci had just thought of the Mona Lisa, it wouldn't be the most famous and expensive and valuable painting in the whole world.
Yep.
It wouldn't be sitting in the Louvre. It would be an idea that died with him. No one would care. It's a fantasy.
I came across this. There's a bunch of quotes that motivate people to get shit done. One of them was, the one place with all the great ideas is the cemetery.
So it's so funny you bring that up. I had a very unproductive day on Monday, but I had a very productive day yesterday. Monday, I went to a funeral of a friend of mine's mom. And, you know, it's never nice. Like, it's never good. But I got to say, there is something about death, especially if it's someone you knew. I don't know her well, but I knew her. Something about death that kind of gets everything into line in terms of priorities, right? Yep. So I didn't do a lot of useful stuff on Monday. I wasn't particularly productive, as I said. But I had no room in my day, and I'm trying to stay in that space for any bullshit, unimportant stuff. Like, after this, I went to go and fetch something. And the place that I went to, there were people arguing about stupid stuff. And I just collected what I needed to, and I just left. Now, ordinarily, I would have got involved. I would have had a part of the conversation. I was like, I don't need to be part of this.
Not today.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Suddenly
completely.
you get everything figured out a lot quicker. It's all much, much clearer. Context, relevance, it all falls into perfect, crystal clear clarity.
Yeah.
You can see perfectly like how and where and when you should spend your time, because you realize like life is super short and you only have an amount of time that you're not even sure how long that is. Could be another day.
Yep.
Or you could be here for another 50 years, 100 even. You don't know, right? The way medical science is moving, you could live a very, very long time.
Very long time.
But to get upset about the dumb little things, it's just so unimportant.
It's not worth it. Look, unless we are going at it to end up laughing, I don't think it's worth it.
So is laughter absolutely one of the goals?
It is a must, Gareth. Like, I'm one of those people who looks for something to feel grateful about or to smile about on a daily basis. Like, without fail, I will find something within the hours that I'm awake to be grateful or to laugh or to enjoy. It is a must without fail every day.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to live. So now that we've solved the world's problems,
we do this every week, bro.
We figured out the emoji problem and how to fix that. We've figured out how to spend your time thinking about important stuff, laughing more. who the brains in the business is. We've done it all. We've crossed and traversed pretty much the whole thing. Let me give you an idea of what else is happening on the show this morning, because we've got quite a busy day. We're going to be joined in a short while by someone called Nobesu Tunhlovu, who is a director of SMEs, that's small and medium enterprises, at Old Mutual, because they're doing quite an interesting thing at the moment that I thought deserved a bit of attention. And it's World Entrepreneurs Day on the 21st of August, which is today. So isn't that good timing? They've got like really interesting things going on there about, people start small businesses and they kind of fly by the seat of their pants for a long time. I've got this mug, I want to sell it. Let's see who wants to buy it. How much does it cost me to make it? What can I sell it for before the market turns on me? Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider, but most people were making it up. Now, they're trying at Old Mutual and they're succeeding. And I've got examples of this that I think are worth paying a little bit of attention to this morning. Chief among them, Nobesutu's role there. And I thought, if you're running your own business, and many of the people who listen to us are, what kinds of things can we do? What can we bring to your attention on this show? What can we introduce you to, perhaps, that you hadn't thought of before? I'm assuming everybody already knows everything, and I'm the only one who doesn't. But if you don't know some of the stuff, I think you could find her very interesting. Yeah. She'll be joining us in a short while. We're also going to be joined by somebody called Zahirah Marty. Do you remember we did a thing with Canon, The Perfect Picture? They had that show on TV. And Zahirah is one of the guests that we had on who impressed me enormously. I didn't know who she was before that. And when we had her on the show, she was just this breath of fresh air. She was loads of fun. She was light. She was happy. She had things to say, opinions, well thought through arguments and points of view. I just suddenly thought we've got to talk to her. Well, it's taken us like a year and a half because she travels all over the world. She's one of those people who is never really in one place for very long. And we've got her. So today she's coming in. Fantastic. She's going to spend some time with us. Yeah. And she spends a lot of time between the United Arab Emirates, her shoot and project locations across the world. And I thought we'd find out about this woman's life because it does sound a hell of a lot more interesting than mine.
I'm willing to wager that I'm small enough to fit in her bag, but we'll see. We'll see.
And then I got this in the post. You see that? This is from Tsepo Jeans, right?
Yes.
They're also shooting the lights out at that company.
Yeah, they are.
Brilliant, brilliant business. And this is We the People.
We the People, yes. Yeah. In Venda.
That's correct. I did ask for them to give me mine in Setswana, but they didn't do it.
Oh, you wanted Runabato.
Correct. But they, it's okay. I even had to look this up. I'm like, that's not Tswana.
I'm glad that you could notice, actually.
No. I'm not that useless as a old white guy.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to hear from you this morning. Let's see what's going on in the comment section. That's always alive and ready with lots of interesting stuff. So a couple of things here. First of all, Color says, walking away from a situation because you realize that your participation will not make a difference is a sign of maturity. Finally, GC. I can't guarantee it's always going to happen, Color, but I am trying.
And yes, we can hope.
And one of the places I'm trying is social media. I don't have to hop in on everything. I mean,
yeah, you don't.
You know what the problem is when you're having a busy day, you don't even look at your social media. You don't have time.
You don't.
You're doing important things and real life stuff. Again, fantasy versus reality. But on those days where you're waiting in a queue or you've got 5 minutes before a meeting and you hop onto your phone, and for me, I'm either going to be on X or Instagram, because I don't do TikTok for various reasons. I'm not interested in that. Who was it who told me? Leanne told me about Reddit on Monday.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's still alive.
Without that. So I'm not going to go on there. So with Instagram, it's like just mind-numbing, like seeing what all the people that you follow are up to. There are a couple of cool things that I follow on there, like that, there's this one feed that I go to, which is just like beautiful architecture.
Yeah.
Now that to me is very, very cool. I should do that more than X, which is the other thing I go on. Because there you see a point of view that you agree with, and you're like, oh, I'm going to retweet that. But you don't. And if you don't retweet it, no one's going to fix the world.
No.
Not going to change anything. I could just as easily shut up and no one would notice.
But you know what I suspect happens with you,
Color's right.
Here's what I suspect.
Go on. Diagnose me, doctor.
I think certain thoughts actually bring a physical discomfort to you, right? Like when you see something on X, what I've noticed is your tweets are always in short bursts. So you'll get 2 or 3 of them, one
You've
after
really
the
done
other.
an analysis, huh?
Seriously, one after the other. Because honestly, like I don't think you get enough credit. I think your social media platforms
insane.
are absolutely hilarious. I never know what I'm going to come across every time. Like when I'm on Instagram and I see something on your story, it could be
It's like walking naked through the Kruger National Park.
precisely. On the one hand, it could be something as brilliant as the architecture that you were talking about, or the flip side of that, some British woman taking a taking a piss at sensitive liberal women. So it's a mixture of things. So I think similar to me, I don't express myself that way on social media. I'd rather talk to people in front of me. But there's certain thoughts that cross your mind that if you don't get them out, it's like there's a physical itch somewhere in your body.
Yeah, maybe.
And I get it.
Maybe that's how I got into the media business in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm actually desperate to have someone to talk to about all this stuff and share things with. Who knows? Here's a great story. Carl says, started my small business in 2011. Just me and my mates. It's been extremely stressful. We now employ 350 people.
Hey, man.
We really just need government to get out of the way.
This is where we need
that's
the applause sound effects.
I love that though. And really, you know, I mean, I think mostly Carl's just one of the loudest voices in the comment section. But honestly, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it is.
People like that, I'm not going to smoke up your ass, Carl, because otherwise you are going to start thinking you're a big deal. Maybe you are.
Yeah.
You're keeping the economy going, dude. It's not big corporations. It's not these the high-rise buildings in Sandton that are the engines of real trade and economy. It's not. It's the small businesses. So
which is why
kicking ass.
Which is why I get so frustrated when people come up with these scapegoat theories for why South Africa is where it is. They'll tell you, no, it's the influence of international markets and blah blah blah. No. It's from the bottom up. It doesn't trickle down. It actually grows in the opposite direction.
Right.
And it's going to take you and I, literally you and I, to make different decisions on a day-to-day basis. And people like Carl are the perfect example of how you can turn things around. Listen to what he says. Like he says, it's been stressful, but what I can guarantee is that it's been worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right.
Come on.
I think that's right. Okay, so you've got a few things on the agenda before we get into small business stuff on World Entrepreneurs Day.
Ouch.
You got pictures of our history. What the hell are you talking about here?
Okay.
You didn't bring pictures of our history.
No.
Okay.
Before we get into the history pictures, James, do you have me, bro? Those first 2 ones. So,
you did bring pictures.
I did bring pictures.
And today's episode of Show and Tell is brought to you by Jack Motlanthe. All right.
Okay. So, I came across Candace Owens is like the gift that keeps on giving. So she started me off on this Bridget Macron thing.
Okay, but just wait before that. Timothy Maurice, who was our guest here last Wednesday, sent me a message yesterday. He's like, what do you think is going on with Candace Owens? And I said to him, I don't know. I think she's just hit the skids. Like, you know, some people are very well put together.
Yeah.
And she's not an idiot. But she started saying a lot of crazy, crazy things. And it's very easy to slip into a place where people no longer take you seriously. And I'm very worried that someone who actually has a very good brain and who has made a massive mark and has not destroyed her credibility is teetering on the brink at the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like when she starts saying everyone is wrong, everyone is stupid, everyone is lying, she doesn't like Trump now. She doesn't like Brigitte Macron. She says Michelle and Brigitte are men. Now, that's funny. I mean, we joke about that here on this show. Okay?
Yes, we do.
But this is the hill she's going to die on. This is going to be her thing. Like Brigitte Macron, she goes on Piers Morgan, which is obviously not the, arbiter of truth. Piers has hardly done himself any favors over the years. While
seriously.
Again, I respect the fact that he says what he says, and same thing goes for Candace. But for this to be her thing, like today, I'm going to be Candace Owens, the woman who lets everybody know Brigitte Macron is a man.
Woo.
This is her. This is the most important issue in her life. She's not a French citizen. She's not that interested in transgender stuff, if that is a thing.
Well, she is.
Is she?
She is.
Okay.
She's
Now you can bring
against
up.
it.
Now you bring up your picture.
So I just want to say, like, I think what happened with Candace is that she got a lot of backlash about some of her comments about Israel and all of that stuff.
Sure.
And what she's going through now seems like a bit of an overreaction to what happened with the Daily Wire. But that's just
So you
my
think
thoughts on
maybe
it.
she's overreacting
She
now,
is.
as it's like an overcompensation for what she believes was a slight against her.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know when you hear a super villain's origin story and you're like, that's what made you mad?
Yeah, they were hurt.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Okay.
Anyway, one of the things I do agree with her on, because she makes such a compelling case,
Uh-huh.
is this Bridget Macron thing.
Okay.
So
it's not
before
just
we
her,
go
it's
into our
Jack
past,
still say here. All right.
before we go into our past, I would just like for us to look into our present, right?
Uh-huh.
So I don't know when the Macrons decided to go on vacation, but there's two images of them on a boat.
Yeah.
Gareth, look at the picture and tell me what you see, please.
All right, let's go. Have we got that picture?
There's
Okay.
the first picture.
So we got Emmanuel in the water.
Yeah.
We got two other oaks. And then there's Brigitte on the left there, right?
I see 4 men on a boat and two men in the water. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So is that Brigitte?
James, hold on. Give me the second one.
Oh.
Okay. Gareth, let's have a chat, bro.
All right. What is the problem here? Because
So we are looking at presumably a rather well-groomed male lady.
it's not a man, that's a woman.
Is that
That's
a woman?
the first lady of France.
Okay, so there's two ladies that just walked into the building. And ladies, can I just ask, thumbs up or thumbs down? Are we looking at a woman right now? Zoom out, Flex.
Wow, I like the fact that you guys can zoom into pictures like this. But I've got to say, like, first of all, I don't know how old she is, but I don't think we should be zooming in on her. Just first of all, I think that's very disrespectful of us.
It is.
I don't like that we're zooming in on her. Second of all, this is their private holiday away.
Mm.
And I don't like where you're taking this, Jack. I really don't. I don't like this at all. I think
Okay.
this is extremely unnecessary.
Oh, like, sharp. I'll leave it alone. That's the end of the
How
comment.
does this link to our history?
No. It was something that I felt that I had to bring it up because we're looking at the present before we go to the history. You see, back in the day,
Oh boy.
there were people who lived lives that made sense because they were human beings and they were striving to be better than where they were. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of those individuals is a gentleman by the name, I'll tell you his name. So this guy was a thief. Yeah. His name is Alvin Caprice, right? He was a career criminal who was nicknamed Creepy on the account of his unnerving smile, right?
All right.
So because this guy was committing crime all over the place, he came up with a genius idea. They were finding him using his fingerprints.
Yes.
So he decided to go to a doctor and have them removed. Check out this picture.
Uh-huh.
Check that out.
So what how did they remove his fingerprints?
So he went to a physician by the name Joseph Doc Moran, who worked in Chicago. He performed cosmetic surgery on both Caprice and Caprice. What's this? What do they call someone who commits a crime with you? Accomplice. There you go. There you go. Fred Baker, right? And they actually got their fingerprints removed. Look at that.
Just be quiet, because in this country there'll be a lot of crooks now who are going to want to go get their fingerprints removed. I didn't even know that was possible.
Can you imagine?
Because even if you burn your fingers or you cut yourself, your fingerprints kind of come back.
They kind of
right?
do. Yeah.
So I think that's they must do something really terrible to people. To
Yes,
remove
they
their
do.
fingerprints.
Mind you, that happened in 1934 in the States.
All right.
Cool, right?
Well, I don't know. Yes, I wouldn't say cool, but interesting.
I think it's cool.
Okay.
Now, back in the day, people actually had to work. There's a term that you used a few weeks ago that I absolutely love: sweat equity.
Yes.
People don't understand that these days.
We'll be talking about that in World Entrepreneurship Day in a moment.
Yes, sir. So there's an image of a 9-year-old coming back from work.
Oh, yeah?
Check this out. So this 9-year-old is a factory worker in Maine in 1911, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. No less than 18% of all children aged 10 to 15 worked.
Look at that.
From
That child. Is that the
1890. That's
child?
the child. There you go.
That girl?
From 1890 to 1910.
How old is she?
She's 9.
And she's been working at the factory all day.
She's making her way back from work. What were you doing when you were 9 years old?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's better than the way I see these children playing and watching TV. So you could learn something.
Yes,
Sweat
you can.
equity, right?
There it is. Doesn't she look overjoyed?
No, she looks miserable
She looks
as hell.
proper
Are you
miserable.
joking?
That
That's
looks
the most
like
unhappy person that I've ever seen on the screen.
it looks like the cover for a horror movie, doesn't it?
Well, you know what? I'll guarantee you she did not spend her time worrying about what other people on social media thought of her.
Yep.
Mostly because she didn't have social media, but also because she didn't have time to worry about anything.
At all.
She had to work.
She had to graph.
But you know, this is an interesting thing because it does give us a moment to reflect on how much has changed in like 100 years.
Yep.
And how people's lives, even though we think we have trouble, and we have problems these days, there is a lot that we've got to solve for. But honestly, going back 100 years, like life has improved in leaps and bounds.
In leaps and bounds.
For everyone, right?
Which is why I find it difficult when I hear people moan and complain in 2024. It's like, excuse you?
Exactly.
Excuse you? And the final picture that I have today is a bit unnerving. But this is how far we've come as human beings. So at some point, we used to put one another in zoos. Check this out. Now, this image is it was taken in 1906 in Coney Island.
What are they? Is that a child?
That is a child at the bottom.
Zoo?
So they would huddle up these what they call Native Americans, which we should actually just call Americans, but they would huddle them up and put them in these kind of encampments and all of that stuff, and people would legit pay just to come look at them. The way you would go to the Johannesburg Zoo to look at a monkey, that's how we used to treat one another.
My God.
Now, with those kind of images and where you think society is today, any gripe you might have, I think it's actually your responsibility to play a part in bringing the change to that gripe. And you are in a far better position to do so than those poor people that were put in a zoo.
Oh my God. I mean, also, just give credit to human beings for the last 100 years of having pulled ourselves away from that kind of horrible. I mean, that's just awful.
It is absolutely awful.
Okay, well, thanks for that reality check. We said we were going to change fantasy for reality this morning. Well, one of the things I want to talk about is today, World Entrepreneurs Day.
Yeah.
It's the 21st of August. We're going to speak to somebody who I've been looking to speak to for quite some time now, Nobisuthu Ndlovu, who is the director of SME at Old Mutual Corporate. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the economic landscape, about access to finance, but primarily because we have so many people who listen to the show and watch the show who are their own boss, who've started their own business, who run SMEs. This is the perfect opportunity to see where we can find shortcuts, useful information, tips, the kind of tools that business leaders need in order to push their own businesses forward at a rate. And, you know, most of us are just going into these things blindly. We find something we think we can sell. We find what we hope is a market. We try to put the two together, and then the rest we
figure it out.
We just pray it falls into place.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you here, Nobisuthu. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us.
Thanks for having me, Gareth.
Sure.
How are
You're
you? We've got a woman in the studio.
I know, it's so great because otherwise Wednesdays are very, very boring.
They're very boring.
So, an accomplished executive and entrepreneur, extensive experience in the banking and fashion retail sectors. Currently, Nobisutu leads the SME business, focusing on strengthening Old Mutual support for South African entrepreneurs through a digital channel called SME Go. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But I think, first of all, happy World Entrepreneurs Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
And you're an entrepreneur too. This is what you did before you joined Old Mutual. And that gave you the experience, I think, to uniquely sit in a corporate environment, but be able to understand what the SME people are going through, right?
Yes, absolutely. I ran my own business, Burgundy Fly, and I see you wearing one of a local
jeans.
designers. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, I guess, did that for 14 years, an entrepreneur. Hard times, interesting times. And that's actually what definitely brings me here, because I have got that real life tangible experience.
So I think, first of all, let's just look at the landscape, because we have seen unemployment numbers go through the roof in South Africa. We've got this unenviable statistic that we're like one of the world's worst countries when it comes to unemployment. But there isn't enough in corporate South Africa to be able to fix that. In other words, the SMEs, the smaller and medium-sized enterprises, are going to be the future of our economy and are going to create those jobs and perhaps the wealth that we will have in an ideal world going forward, a world that we want to occupy, a world South Africa, I think, frankly deserves. We've got hungry, smart people who want to get ahead in life. Is that what you're focused on too?
Absolutely. Linking to my personal experience, right? So I had about 15 designers in my store. Each of those designers had about 10 people that they employed. So there's 150 jobs that are created.
Sure.
So fast forward into what the work that I'm doing now, the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I've actually seen it firsthand. If we can actually enable and support, and we as consumers, so well done for buying local, and we as corporate citizens participating more effectively to actually help businesses, not just a talk shop, but rather a tangible solutions that actually help businesses get funding, get access to markets, and really enable their businesses to thrive. Unemployment is a real thing. I personally see it. We've all got some friends and family who've been sitting for about 2-3 years. And my hypothesis is we've got people not only with brains, but also with hands. And there's a massive opportunity where if you cannot use the let's say technical skill set training that's required in certain instances, people have got hands to make things. And there's absolutely no reason why we should have people sitting at home and unemployed when people have hands.
Yeah.
One of the big challenges that I hear from people who run their own business is the access to finance challenge. Is that something that you at SME Go at Old Mutual are particularly interested in too?
Yes. So not only interested, but we are passionate about solving for, because it's not actually just about access to funding. It's help me get approved for funding. Because it's a painful chicken and egg situation. I remember it distinctly. There's a couple of elements that are painful about this. So you read the newspapers, they say we're looking to fund SMEs. So there's no shortage of funding in South Africa, in the world. That's the reality. But what the challenge is that the funders on the other side are looking for not only a return, but to make sure that they can get the money back to give to other businesses, right? And so I remember one of my funders saying, I'm actually taking a bet. This is a gamble. I'm actually just a professional gambler. So I'm trying to professionalize this business of giving money and hoping for the best, So how we're trying to solve for this problem at the core is to say to ourselves, what are the elements that actually enable business owners to get approved for funding? So some basic elements such as check your credit score. So don't waste your time applying for funding when actually you can check your credit score. But more importantly, your bottom line needs to be positive. And that is what enables you to actually get funding.
I heard a scary statistic that new businesses typically have a shelf life of about 2 years before, they disappear. Longevity is a part of the game.
Yeah.
How do you address the idea of not giving up and doubling down in a certain direction? Because as you said, you kind of have to navigate that road and figure it out as you go. But being disheartened and feeling down on yourself is a very real thing. It causes a lot of people to stop. How do you go about encouraging people to continue in that direction?
So I think it's psychological. This is mental game, like on a next level, being an entrepreneur. And one of the things I wish I was told when I started my entrepreneurial journey is take your time. My favorite book, as it relates to this theme, is Shoe Dog, right?
Mm.
I don't know if you guys have read the book.
Phil Knight. Yeah.
Yes.
Guy started Nike.
Yes. And, reading that book, I closed it. I was like, oh no, I'm okay. Because 20 years in, 15 or 20, I could be wrong in terms of number of years, he was still like in $7 million debt, still hustling away.
And most of us at that level would go, okay,
Okay.
I'm just not meant for this. I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Time
you
to
just
get out.
grab one of those emojis and
Yeah.
Exactly, right? And social media doesn't help in terms of making people think that, it should happen in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It takes time. And I think that's the mental element that people just need to be aware of. And there's no rush.
Let's just talk very specifically about SME Go, because we had a lot of comments before you came in, and I said that we were going to talk about, running your own business and what that means, and where people struggle and where people need help, and where they might just be able to get together and solve problems a lot more easily. Someone said their problem is this. Someone else said their problem is a completely different thing. How does Old Mutual help figure out what's missing and where people can be given the tools, the support, the ideas, the even the psychological wherewithal to get through those, oh my God, this is a failure, it's not going to work moments?
Sure. So we're solving for it on a very deliberate kind of strategic approach. And the first approach says, first of all, funding is the means to an end. It's not the in and of itself. So we're not starting at the funding line. We're starting at the element that says, for you to run your business, you need efficiencies.
Yeah.
And you need efficiencies so that you can focus on the growth element. So there's a statistic that says business owners spend 70% of their time on administrative activities such as HR, tax, and all of those things that you need, but they don't necessarily generate you the revenue. So the customers generate you the revenue, the marketing element generates you the revenue. So we've said, how do we create that efficiency through our tools on the platform? And we're looking at it. So I've got a tech background as well, which does help from time to time.
Sure.
And also having experienced, being an entrepreneur, we're going at it almost at a second level of detail that says, let's make it super duper easy. So my construction guy, Lesejo, after he's done my whatever I needed to do, because we were all doing renovations post-COVID, right? And we realized that our houses need changes. Every other 2 months, I've got something to change in the house. He doesn't have time to go home and actually, send an invoice, sit down. That's not what he should be doing. So we've created an almost order to sales from the time that you're engaging with your customer all the way through to you need to send them an invoice, get paid by them, track your payments. We've automated that process. It's on app. It's integrated with WhatsApp. So you don't actually have to get offline in terms of the communication element. So we are making it easy to do business by helping you save time in the very basic, and also inventory management is included in there. And then the second aspect of growing your business that we've acutely understood is you need sales to come in at the top, right? And sales come in very simply either by individual customers or by large corporates. So what we're solving for is working with our other large corporate partners who are interested from a procurement ESG perspective to sell to SME, or rather buy from SMEs, and between business owners. So we're creating a marketplace, a B2B marketplace, where if as a business owner, you're actually looking for very specific capabilities, such as solar energy, which is, and the next thing is about to be water, of course, and any other services that you need from other businesses. So we've understood that people need to sell and they don't have time to go and find marketplaces. And this is not, it's very different from I'll call it business to customer, such as your Takealots, Amazon. That's a very different model from what we're looking at. We're looking at specifically business to business. And what we are solving for ultimately is when you apply for funding, your bottom line needs to be tip top, right?
Yeah.
So your business operation, that covers the expenses side of things. The sales, that's where our access to market solutions are coming in. And ultimately, we want to get business owners approved for funding because you need money to make money. So SME Go is really a holistic proposition that is aiming to help grow and run your business successfully and profitably. Most importantly, we want to ensure that businesses are extremely profitable.
Well, there are
That's
a lot
really
of
cool.
people in the comments here too who are complaining that what they really want is for government to get out of the way. But government is a big player in the economy, whether those people like it or not. And there have to be ways that we can influence policy. And it's very difficult for SME owners to influence policy. It's much easier for the big corporations to get in front of the president or to get in front of the finance minister or the Department of Small Businesses and say something.
No, absolutely. And that is part of our roadmap in terms of working with government, because if you scratch beyond the surface, government is trying. There are programs such as the Black Industrialist program. There are some laws that they are putting in place to actually make things a little bit easier. A lot of funding programs that are unknown. And I think, from a government perspective, their job is to create an enabling environment, and it's then for corporates and the business owners to then play in that enabling environment. So I think there's something to be said around almost looking beyond the regulation, and for us as business owners and corporates alike to actually make do is the wrong term. I'm almost thinking lemonade.
Well, I mean, so Carl here says, I don't think I could ever work for someone again. I've only ever had one real job. If my business ever went tits up, I'd have to go. I guess I'd have to, though. But that's the interesting thing, is like, there isn't a better or worse. Some people are really good at running their own business and they need that freedom, but they also need the risk. And then there are people who are extremely good at running things inside of corporations. And neither is better than the other. I mean, I've seen brilliant people in both spheres. Are you able to identify sometimes when someone is trying to run their own business, but actually they might be better for a job in a corporation? They might be the person who doesn't have to lead their own thing out there, but can be part of something so huge inside of a corporation and direct things in a very powerful way.
Yeah, so I mean, an example of exactly that, right? And I think the interesting thing, when you start your own business, you're like, I want to be my own boss. And then you realize, upon reflection, actually, all my customers are my bosses, right? All my suppliers are my bosses. My staff members are my bosses. So there's actually no such thing as what, or the concept isn't really what you might have thought it is, But what I've seen is, for as long as you are clear in terms of what problem you're trying to solve and what societal or business value or commercial value you're actually trying to solve for, you can do it either in corporate or independently running your own business. Pick your poison.
Okay, so tell us about the solutions that you're helping to provide to people at SME Go, and how they can get involved in that, whether it's open to everybody, who it's open to, are there qualifications, are there things that you can access for free, what kinds of stuff can people do from here on in, if this is the first they've heard of it?
Sure. So SME Go, it's a digital platform. So it's available on web, iOS, and Android.
Right.
And we are really, SME Go is intended to be a one-stop shop for business owners to really run their business. So, and it's sector agnostic. So whether you are in construction, whether you are in the health services, or whether you're in the financial services business, the intention is really to help you manage the administrative aspect of your business. So that's the first part and almost our baseline that we've created. There is a free version, there's a 99 Rand version, and there's a 299 Rand version. And it really depends on terms of what volume your business is doing. The second aspect is the access to market element that I've just shared. That's coming now at the end of September. We're super excited about that proposition because I think it's really going to be a game changer in the market. And the theme is, again, saving entrepreneurs a lot of time to, instead of going to investigate these things.
I love this idea of invoicing and, your supplies and your inventory and all of that stuff being automated.
All in one place.
For people to be spending their time on that is just such a waste.
It is. And ultimately, it's then taking, because one of the challenges that funders are looking for, can I see that you've got a going concern? Especially people that start their businesses and 6 months in, they're looking for funding. What information can you actually provide? So we're a trusted brand. It's run by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And so really, SME Go is a digital platform that's saying you can run and manage your business so that when you do need funding on the other side, it is available.
Well, I just want to give credit to Old Mutual, because I know that a lot of big corporations in South Africa couldn't care less about the SMEs. So the fact that they're actually doing this and that they're trying to help people along is good for everyone. It's good for the economy. And that's why I'm very pleased that you came to explain some of this to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gareth.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Nobisutu.
this was
What a
great.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good to see you. Nobisutu Ndlovu is our guest this morning. We've gone over by a couple of minutes, but you know what? It was worth it. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
And if you are running your own business, I would suggest that you go and check out what Old Mutual are doing with SME Go. And we'll put all the details in our description later and link it on social media as well, so you can find out more. But I think this is, for many of us, probably the right place to start, because maybe you get going and you suddenly look at all this mountain of administrative stuff that you have to do. HR, I mean, you mentioned HR, Nobisutu. That's a whole other nightmare. You don't have to be worrying about this. You want to have people who can help you along, smooth the way so that you can focus on what it is that you're the best at. And I think that's the amazing thing that they're doing here. So there we go. Take a look. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Zahirah and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere.
So where do people get tickets? How do we get our hands on tickets?
Okay, so tickets are available on Howler. You check out the options. It's 275 Rand for a general access ticket. And you can you can take on the park and ride facility from the Mall of Africa, which gets you into the center circuit.
Who's your partner there?
Sani Car Rental
Okay.
is our partner. 20 shuttles running between Mall of Africa into the circuit.
So people arrive at Mall of Africa, just look out for Sani Car Rental.
Yes, it's at gate entrance 6 and 8.
Okay.
Look out for the Sani signage, the festival motoring signage. There's branding all over to direct the visitor. Get into the shuttle and back. And there's free parking if you have the Admit app.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Okay.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Hey, it's me, the little voice in the back of your head. Hear me out. There's something fishy about your medical aid's network options. They say you pay less because you're only allowed to use certain private hospitals. But then why do they also reduce your benefits? Do yourself a favor. Check out FedHealth's grid options. You save 10% for using network hospitals, but none of your other benefits are affected. Now that's how medical aid should be. Remember, fedhealth.co.za.
Well, it's Wednesday morning and we have so much cool stuff to get to, lots to talk about. And Jack doesn't have any disturbing pictures for us.
I
for
promise
this
they're
hour.
done.
You
They're
promise?
done.
Okay.
They are finished.
I want to introduce to you, if you haven't seen her before on the show, and she was on the show with us, The Perfect Picture with Canon just a little while ago, about a year maybe? It was last year, sometime. Can't exactly remember, but it feels like quite a long time ago. Zahirah Marty, an internationally renowned travel TV show host, also a brand South Africa ambassador, and a dedicated advocate for her beloved homeland of South Africa. She is also always all over the world, and we finally, after months of trying, have managed to get her in the studio this morning to be a part of the show. So welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
You look better in person.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, we
That's
were
quite
impressed
nice
with
to
you. We
hear.
were impressed with you when you were on camera last time, but you're even better now. So, where are you most of the time? Because you are an ambassador for Brand South Africa, among other things. But it seems to me like you are traveling more than anyone else I know. You're all over the world.
It's been a busy year.
Yeah.
So home base technically is Dubai.
Sure.
It's where my child is enrolled at school. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
okay.
But yeah, it's been a busy year. There's been a lot of travel this year, which has been incredible. And I'm one of those where the opportunity jumps up, I'll take it and I'll work it out later. So it's been great.
Your kid is in school in Dubai. What are schools in Dubai like?
Expensive.
In
That's
one
what
word.
they're
But I
like.
mean,
One word.
English school,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that they learn all kinds of interesting things in Dubai because that's really a city of the future.
Well, you basically choose your curriculum. So you can either go French or Swiss or American. I've gone British
Okay.
because it's the closest, and that's not by choice. It's not normally my preference, but it's the closest to the system that I grew up with.
Sure.
And it's just like a good, well-balanced schooling system. You can range in price like anything in Dubai. You get the
I'm
super
sure.
bougie, like
Yeah.
Bentley driver,
Yeah.
dropper offer type schools.
Yeah.
I'd like to think we're in the middle ground.
That's very cool. Okay, so I mean, with the kid and travel, that's also complicated because you can't just say, "Okay, cheers, babe. I'll see you on Thursday in 2 weeks' time. Have fun at school. I packed an extra sandwich."
Well, you say you can't.
No, but I mean, like, how do you
that's-
manage? Because that's not easy. And parents. The worst thing about parents is they are super judgy of other parents.
Mhm.
So the minute
Oh,
you are
yeah.
doing something that the other moms aren't doing, you're either way too cool, in which case they hate you, or
Yeah.
you're less worthy than them, in which case they hate you.
Yeah, that's when your kid comes home with a letter from some.
No, it's not the letter.
disgruntled
It's the
lady.
conversations and pickup that are my favorite.
Oh,
So
yes.
not on here? So
No,
you
no,
don't
no,
have
no,
moms
no.
groups on
No,
there?
it's I'm sure there's private groups, but there's
Mm.
the group and there's the subgroup and then the subgroup to the subgroup.
Okay.
Oh.
So there's animal kingdom dynamics in school moms, right? And then you've
Tell
got
me
like the
more.
groups of moms that are cool and the groups of moms that think they're cool. And I'd like to think I'm a cool mom.
Okay.
There's a group of three
Okay.
of us. The other two are Dutch and we'd like to think we're cool. Our kids
All
have been
right.
together for a few years, but it's the pickup conversations like, "Oh, hi, Noah's mum. You're not traveling this week. It's so nice to see you at school this
Actually
morning."
being a mom.
Hey.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I'm not judging you. but
"Hi,
I am.
yes,
bitch.
I'm here."
What a
Exactly.
bitch.
That's
Yeah,
like
you look miserable.
in those
and I'm not.
situations.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish like we could have like subtitles that pop up to
Yeah,
show you
because-
the actual meaning of
That's
what they're
right.
trying to say.
But Jack's right. We as guys, we don't read that stuff. Like when a guy is super nice to another guy, he wants something from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're going to do a business deal, or I need you to come with me and make sure that I get beaten up by this other gangster or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah,
Like
yeah.
guys are,
Transactional.
but,
Yeah.
but it's kind of honest.
Yeah.
Like women, exactly the opposite applies. Like the nicer she is to you, the more she loathes and despises.
Well, I think female dynamics are never direct, right? They're never honest. They're never. Well, I can't say never.
We
I'll
know
get
why,
attacked,
by the
but
way.
it
I mean,
rarely.
this is because of evolution. This is what women developed subtle and indirect forms of communication because they were always communicating. Whereas men, if you're hunting something,
You have
like-
to keep your mouth shut.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
straight away, you know exactly what
Yeah.
the instruction is. If you fuck around,
Yeah.
people die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But I
With-
appreciate that
With
about
women, they
men.
die, but in different
I
ways because you
appreciate that.
die socially.
Yes.
And then
Mm.
you're excluded from the tribe,
Yes.
your value goes down. That's damning in a different
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. The dynamics in a school scenario, no one prepares you for. It is some of the wildest Hunger Games shit I have ever come across in my life, and I've only got one. I mean, there's parents with kids in multiple years, and then you're dealing with this Hunger Game
Oh my
situation
God.
In
in
different
multiple
grades.
groups, like you're in different
Oy.
arenas, right? Because each WhatsApp group is a different fucking arena. Like you're playing a different game here.
Oh,
I'm quite aloof. I try and stay out of the nitty gritty. I do sometimes get a coffee and sit down in the morning and read the WhatsApp group and just laugh It's hilarious, the dynamics about what we're buying the teacher and why are we spending that much on flowers and not on chocolates, and why are we buying it here and not there.
I mean, these people, they don't have enough to do.
So it's like we never leave high school, right?
No,
it's crazy.
Jack was saying this morning, you almost have to go into every day to find a reason to laugh. And it sounds to me like that's a lot of what you do too.
Yeah.
But you are living in this amazing place most of the time in Dubai. And it's fascinating to me because that place really is an example of some of the best and some of the worst things about what our future could hold.
Yes.
First of all, anything you want to do, any experience you want to have, anything you want to buy, it's there, right?
That's true.
In the space of a couple of square kilometers, you've got the universe.
Yeah.
And it must be for a mom and for your kid, it must just be the most incredible opportunity because you're also in the center of the world. I mean, geographically, you are closer to everything than anyone else. We all will probably have to fly to Dubai in order to get to wherever we're actually going, right? And they've set themselves up in such a clever way to be that. But that place has evolved enormously in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, you could even say in the last year, it's unrecognizable to people who haven't been there for 2 years.
100%. I mean, it is exactly as you say, you've got the best of everything, but it also, coming from South Africa, it's really important for me to ground my son. You can't, I laugh because one of my son's friends came over for a play date, as they do. Like, Noah's mum, is Noah flying first class to South Africa in the summer? I was like, no, love, no. We're an economy class kind of family.
Okay.
Like, it's these kinds of conversations that growing up, I don't think I knew at 7 what first class was.
Sure.
And he's got kids and it's the city. It's not specific to our school.
Sure.
You will range from a parent who owns a super yacht, as we do in our class, to a parent that is regular, like what I would consider myself regular.
And then
then everything in between.
Terribly, terribly poor people too.
Absolutely. The people that build and put the city together. But for me, what that landscape has presented is just incredible opportunity. It's given me a platform that I never dreamed would be possible.
Tell us about like where it all started for you, because I don't know a whole lot about you. And I just, when we had you on the show, I was like, she seems like she has a lot of stories to tell. So where were you born? Like, what kind of a background did you have here in South Africa before you ended up there? Who did you marry? Tell us about that.
So born in Durban, lived in Durban most of my life. Muslim in terms of religion, but quite a open-minded background, which I can't be more grateful for, particularly in the world that we are in today. My parents gave us the opportunity to do whatever, whenever, with boundaries and a solid foundation, which is how I would like to think I'm raising my son. So I've got a brother, he's 4 years younger than me, far more responsible, far better with finances, far more independent as a human, still the guy I call if I need something, still the guy I call if I get into trouble. He's also in Abu Dhabi at the moment.
Okay.
I pulled him out of the dredges of South Africa and I was like, come on over, like you can start. Slept on my couch for a couple. It was great. And now he's far better as a human. Grew up here, Westfield Girls High. I was a nerd.
Okay.
Head girl, sportswoman of the year, blah, blah, blah. And then I just got into TV by chance. Mags, do you remember Margaret van der Westhuizen?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. She was on Big Brother, the first season of Big Brother. So
Mags and I were having lunch one day and she's like, there's this top billing presenter search thing. Why don't you? I was like, come on, Mags. Like, that's not, I'd love to do it, but no, let's be real. Like, Durban girl working in marketing. She fills out the form, she sends it in. She's like, you're doing it. Truth be told.
Cool.
Got called down to the top 12, didn't make the final. That was the year there was a little bit of drama with the finalists. Didn't think anything of it. Sitting at my brand activation desk where I used to manage, those pop-ups in supermarkets where you'd walk down an aisle. It's like, would you like to try the new sunscreen by Johnson & Johnson?
Person with a sausage
so
on
I
it.
managed those. Like I had to get those kids in and train them and all the rest of it. Also didn't go into full university. It wasn't for me. When I got out of school, I was like, that's it. I'm free. The world is my oyster. I want to study. I want to travel. I just don't want to be tied down to a full-time degree. So worked loads of jobs and I loved it. While my friends were waitressing through high school, I decided, no, I'm going to do a course. So I did makeup.
Huh.
And rather than waitressing, because I don't think I'd have been very good at it, I did makeup. So I did bridal makeup and workshops and weddings and shoots. And I did a lot of work. In Durban, there's not much work. There's Mr. Price and Miladies. That's Durban, right?
No.
So I worked both of those, which was great. As an assistant, I ironed clothes, I returned clothes, I did all the hard yards. And I was like, I actually like working. I like earning my own money.
That's
and
a big deal.
I really like it.
People think, well, not people. I mean, it's always refreshing to hear someone like you say, I like working. Because there are a lot of very bitter and twisted, resentful people in the world who actually think work is an imposition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, work is the stuff that you do. That's living, actually.
Yeah.
It isn't the shitty part of like having a 2-day weekend.
Yeah.
And then the 5 days of work is your punishment.
Yeah.
It's like you've got to be, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, that's on you.
Yeah.
You know, find something that you enjoy. And frankly, it's not about how much you get paid or how important you are in
Absolutely
your office.
not.
It's like, are you making a contribution? Are you having fun? Do you feel that there's a sense of purpose there? And what you just said now is so goddamn refreshing. I'm so sick of hearing people going, oh, working hard.
I love working.
Work is so tough.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. You know,
Yeah.
how often you speak to people,
Yeah.
you go, I'm so busy.
That is the most bullshit statement of the
Yeah.
last
What are
15
you?
years.
Joe
Yeah,
Biden
I mean,
isn't
it's
even
like-
busy and
No.
he's president.
No,
Oh
no.
my God.
No one is too, you're never too busy to reply to a WhatsApp. You're never
Yes.
too busy
Never.
to answer a call. You're never too busy to answer an email. It might be
Yes.
late, but reply to the damn thing because no one is that busy.
No
Right.
one's that busy.
No one is that busy.
Mm-mm. And
So-
I think what people don't take the time to do is to discover themselves and then find work that fits who they
Yeah.
are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, you
Everyone
just-
is just going around
mean,
looking for a job.
Zahirah
It's
just
like,
said no. She had to do some not particularly glamorous stuff. I mean, now you've got a fairly glamorous life.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's quite a cool dream job for most people to be able to travel the world, to do travel shows, to be able to represent the brands that you do, to be living in a place like you live. But you had to iron clothes and you had to do makeup and you had to organize the promo people inside of supermarkets.
Right?
So that's not glamorous and fun.
Absolutely
all.
not. Do you know how many milk cartons I've counted in my life? But before that, it was all, but you know what it is though? It's a big part of it is us being South African as well.
Yeah.
And I see that. I think sometimes you get a bit caught up in it when you live here, but when you live abroad, you really see, for lack of a better word, how our South Africanness is so different, and we're so
In a-
happy to work
In a good way?
in a good way,
Okay.
in a fantastic way. We're hard workers. We will get a job done to the best of our ability. We don't complain nearly as much as a lot of other nationalities. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But we just get, I mean, I had a PR agency for 13, 14 years. I mean, it's still the license that I operate now on. But as South Africans, it's, well, if there's a spill on the floor, I don't need to wait for somebody else to come and tidy up. If it's my event, I can get down on my knees and wipe that up and let's get on with it. Like, let's do what needs to be done.
The worst place to me for that is Europe. It's like if there's a light bulb out, you can't get up there and take it out and fix it, put a new one in. You have to call the person whose job it is to do that.
Yeah.
And they have to do it. Otherwise, you're not only not solving the problem according to them, you're creating new problems. Because now you're taking the work away from that person who specializes in that one stupid little thing.
Yeah.
And it's just so counterproductive.
Well, in Europe, you'd be taking it away from them. In Australia, they'd tell you that you don't have the license to be up on that
Yeah,
ladder to be
right.
changing the bulb.
Oh, my God.
So there's a
Madness.
whole other situation of red tape.
Could not agree more.
What was some of the other cultural differences that you noticed? I mean, look, as you said, since we are here and we live in South Africa, we don't necessarily pick up on how different we are to the rest of the world.
We're bloody awesome. That
Yeah?
much I can tell you.
Mm.
One of
Okay.
the things I miss most about home are the people. Like even that grumpy guy at immigration, when I get off that plane every time I get home, who barely snorts at me as he pulls my passport across his desk, I love him because he is home and he reminds me about everything that I miss. And it's our people. We're easygoing. We connect. You know, we shoot, my crew is all South African. So they fly out of South Africa. I fly out of Dubai, wherever I am. And I love that. And I don't know if I can work with a crew that isn't South African for a show like a travel show where you spend so much time together. Wherever we have shot our shows, we shoot for an American network. We have found a South African who has helped us make a plan to get through things.
Okay.
Sure.
And I'm talking like the furthest corner of Madagascar to LA, to everywhere we've been. We have found a South African that has hooked us up in some way, shape, or form and made a plan to get stuff done.
It's so refreshing to hear that, because at some point, especially this year, I thought to myself, this marker plan thing?
No, it's real.
It's real.
It's real.
I legit thought that might be one of our biggest problems, but
And
seemingly it's our biggest. It's one of our biggest.
It's great, and we're known
thingies.
for it. I have friends that they go, oh, Zah, we've got a problem with this and it's not working out. Do you know someone? I'm like, yeah, leave it with me. They're like, you South Africans, you guys always find a way. I'm like, yeah, we do.
But isn't that the whole point? I mean, like, fixing problems is what creates business.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We were just talking to Nobisutu about like World Entrepreneurs Day today. And by the way, you've got to tell us where we can see your show. Is it only on these American networks?
So the American show is only on the American network.
So we can't see it.
We have just shot a pilot for a brand new show, which we own completely. Funny story. I worked with this crew 18 years ago on Top Billing. We all went our own ways for 18 years.
Is Top Billing?
No, it's not a thing.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
Anymore.
I don't watch television.
So this is where we all met. And now 18 years later, I'm back with the same crew I shot with when I was green.
That's cool.
Shit on TV.
That is cool.
Wow.
Zero experience. Was really, really not where I should have been. And we are making amazing travel shows. We just shot our pilot in Madagascar, which is phenomenal destination, by the way. You need to get there.
Tell me quickly, because travel shows always look like the most fun, but I suspect in the background sometimes it's not so great because you have to rush around. It's like The Amazing Race some of the time. And then you're showing the best stuff, especially on a show like Top Billing back in the day. They used to show off all this great stuff, but then they're all staying in some roach motel while you're like filming, walking through someone's house. And here's their gold-plated lavatory, but I'm living in this rat-infested shithole down the road.
You could do a whole show of behind the scenes of a travel show. To put in perspective, our show that we just shot in Madagascar a few weeks ago, we went diving by mistake with mics on. So there were 2 mics halfway through, gone, goodbye. Nice knowing you.
Expensive.
And when I say we, it wasn't me, but there was a camera left on a windowsill to time lapse in Antananarivo while we went for breakfast on the 8th floor. Well, let's just say we were picking up pieces and looking for an SD card on the street after breakfast. So
you see, that's not fun.
It's frustrating. Different landscapes present different issues. Some parts of Africa can be very challenging to communicate to. Lots of people don't understand. I mean, I know we've got our own time scale of the nows and the just nows and the which people struggle with.
Yeah, we do.
But Namibia was a whole other, like, you'll be there soon, 3.5 hours later. Like, well, we need to catch the sunset. Well, you'll be there. We get there and the sun's going down and there's this massive dune we need to get to the top of, and it's a 1.5 hour hike. And we're like, well, we've got 35 minutes. We need to get the shot. Running up the steep side of the dune. And, you take like 10 steps up and 5 steps down just with the sand movement. That was the day I questioned my life choices very, very seriously.
It was like, well, who needs to go to gym?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just run up the dune.
Yeah. You don't sleep much. I don't have a glam crew.
In the comments wants to know, has the tourism in Madagascar improved a bit? Because they did have that, there was an actual ongoing civil, I don't call it a civil war, but there was an argument between Ravalo Manana and what was the other guy? He was a DJ. He was a radio DJ, became the president of Madagascar.
Madagascar is a very interesting landscape. So to answer the question, yes, it has. It has gotten a lot better. Okay. Personally, I think if you're going, the capital isn't somewhere I would spend too much time. There's parts of it that have a bit of a hillbrowish feel to them. But Nosy B and the islands are phenomenal. And the one thing I will say is they're not going to stay that way. So I'd say in 10 years' time, it's going to be very commercial. At the moment, it's very rustic. They're new to tourism. Tourists are new to them. So you get that element of real authenticity on the islands, but it's not going to stay that way. Emirates is flying there now, and it's coming in.
Where is the best place that you've been? Because when you do travel as much as you do, you get to see places the rest of us don't, and you get to capture stuff for the rest of us that we maybe don't get to experience. I'm pretty sure that you've done and been to some places that the rest of us have no idea about. secret special places that you would recommend any day of the week?
If she says Isle of Man, I'm walking out.
No.
No, I won't say Isle of Man. It's a very hard question. I would say Bora Bora tops my list.
That just sounds so
French
fantastic.
Polynesia is a very special piece of this
But
earth.
it's far.
It's really far.
How do you even get there? Do you have to fly
So
via?
we did Dubai, Australia. So we did Melbourne, Auckland, Tahiti,
Bora
Bora Bora.
Oh, it's a long
It's
way.
literally
It's a long way.
where we are, you go
Opposite side of the world.
opposite. That's where you
But
need to be.
It is that's where you get those like translucent, crystal clear waters,
Mhm.
those mountains. It
Although
looks like
I
a
will say
cartoon.
Madagascar, and people might pull me up for this, you're not going to get the bougie Four Seasons Bora
Sure.
Bora
Yeah.
because there's none of that yet in Madagascar. But Madagascar's water and what you're going to see is pretty epic if you choose. I mean, it's whale shark season
You're
in the next 2
you're
months.
doing a great job
Wow.
for Madagascar
Um,
this morning.
I've
mate.
just been there.
I
I'm
hope
going
they
back
give
to
you
dive with
citizenship
their.
after this because
Yeah.
this is the most.
Well,
I mean, this is the best PR
it's
job I've ever
amazing.
seen on the.
It's
Mhm.
amazing. Manta rays, though, you see a lot of them in Bora Bora.
A bit
Mhm.
scary.
I saw them in.
A little
No,
bit
they're
scary.
not.
A little bit scary.
No, they're not.
It's like a giant animal airplane, but it's in water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but an airplane that just wants to hover around you.
Yeah.
and
I'm not so
I was
sure
diving
like
in
that.
Sharm el Sheikh a few weeks ago, and one
Mm.
she kind of came past us, and they're just beautiful.
Yeah, wasn't Sharm
Beautiful.
el Sheikh the place where that Russian was eaten by a shark just recently?
I'm
You
sure
are
you
very
could
brave.
find a
Mm.
news article for anywhere in the world
Yeah,
where
I'm
someone
just
was
saying,
eaten by
I
a
saw that
shark.
video and I thought, no,
Sharks
I'm-
don't choose to eat you; you get in their way.
Fair enough. Apparently,
you
Percy
know?
says Bora Bora is the most expensive trip from South Africa.
It could very well be. Yeah.
If you believe
could
it, just
very
in
well
terms
be.
of airfares.
But there's loads of amazing places in the world, and Africa is just a continent I think South Africans do not explore enough, and I don't understand why. It's got so much. I went to Botswana for the first time a few weeks ago, or say 2 months now. Also not cheap. That's the one knock I will say
Really?
in Africa is Africa's not cheap. You could probably do a trip to Asia for the same cost of going on a safari to Botswana, even though the flight time's so different. But there is just so
I want to go
Rwanda.
to Ethiopia.
Rwanda.
That's the
Ethiopia is
place I wanna see.
wild.
Hmm.
Like in terms of violence, I believe
Really?
it's wild. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Although I met a guy in Madagascar who was like, you should come to Ethiopia. And I was like, yes, sign me up. where do I pack my bag? But Rwanda, if you're in for real adventure, Rwanda is a jewel of Africa. Sixth safest country in the world. I would
Wow.
walk through the streets of Kigali at any time, day or night, and feel absolutely safe. The most incredible people. The gorillas are unlike anything you're ever going to see in your life. And
Do
I
you
can
know-
say that hands down.
I think from someone who hasn't gotten the opportunity to travel the continent, I think we've been sold the idea that Africa is this lawless,
Yes.
dingy, dusty, nasty
And that's
place.
bullshit.
And for whatever reason, South Africans have been positioned to think like we are the cream of the crop.
Yes.
And therefore, going anywhere else is just going below what you're used to.
I mean, we are pretty awesome, and our
Sure.
country is phenomenal. I drove up to Swellendam last week just because I saw this really cool cabin on Airbnb, just a glass hut on the bottom of a farm called Fazenda. And it was 2 nights of just me, the river, the rain, the wind, lit a few fires.
Oh, that's nice.
We don't explore our own country enough.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely don't explore the continent enough.
Yeah.
And there is so much on this continent to see. And it is the best, and I'd say this category, like hands down, after being in a lot of parts of the world, our hospitality
Yeah.
and customer service in
people.
Africa is leaps and bounds ahead of most of the world.
Well, here's Percy says, after traveling the world, South Africa is the best and most beautiful country to travel in. And we just take it for granted
Yes,
because
we
it's our
do.
backyard.
Yeah.
You know,
we
which
really
is
do.
kind of shitty of
And
us.
having been away 14 years, when I come back, that's one thing I always leave with is this country is phenomenal.
So how often do you get back here?
As often as I can. I do a fair bit of work with different tourism groups, hotel chains in South Africa. I host events. I'm back in 2 months to host the Rwanda Business Forum for the ambassador. any opportunity I get to come home, I'll come home.
That's great.
What made you fall in love with traveling in the first place? Was it because they presented the idea for the show and you're like, let me give this a shot? Or were you a traveler already prior to that?
It definitely wasn't the show. I actually never traveled overseas until I was kind of towards the end of my high school career. We were a domestic family. We drove garden route every December. Religion, like you don't question it.
Yeah.
And what was then the Eastern Transvaal, right? Like Zanin, God's Window, all of that. We did that in our school holidays. We'd pack a car and that's what we would do. And then I went overseas with my parents on a short holiday, and I was like, "Oh, this is really nice. I like this, seeing other worlds, meeting other people." And then it was like an addiction. The minute I got out, I couldn't stop.
This is a good
And
addiction
that's still
to
the
have.
problem.
It's a really good addiction to have.
It's expensive though.
Tracy says Namibia is pretty damn amazing
Yes,
too. The
agree.
vastness is not for everyone, but just like it, she says, really feeds the soul.
I've never seen a sky like I did in Namibia. I have never seen those many stars that clear in my entire life. There is not a sky like it.
So do you, when you're not traveling, get time to do other stuff that you really want to do? Because everybody has these bizarre hobbies that they, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day who collects, like people collect the weirdest shit too. And when you travel, it gives you an opportunity to collect all kinds of interesting things. But she collects like little clay sort of statue things. And she's got like this shelf full of them from all over the world. And it's the most bizarre little thing that you could, I mean, everybody has something that they do. Do you have a hobby besides all of this, or are you just too busy? Because also being a mum, there's not a lot of time for that shit.
My kid's pretty easy. I got very lucky with him. He's 7.
Okay.
He's pretty easygoing. My husband travels a lot as well. He's a veterinarian by profession, but he's massively into landscape photography.
Oh.
So he travels around the world teaching
The good synergy there.
these bougie, but we can't work together.
Oh.
No.
All right.
No. But he takes these like bougie groups of Americans, all the gear, no idea kind of vibes. And they
Is
do
it
these
okay if I take it at this angle? I've got
And
a
at
very
this stage, the
expensive
lion
camera.
is literally 5 kilometers down the road.
Beautiful.
But he's got some really lovely clients, I joke, but he does these photo tours with his friend Daniel. And I'd say Daniel's probably the number 1 landscape photographer in the world, like Nat Geo, Daniel Corden. He's Russian, lives in Bali, phenomenal guys. And they travel, but they like, no need to shower and can sleep in a tent. So we have very different travel styles.
He can rough it.
He can rough it. Like he's in Ethiopia at the moment, actually. They're photographing these tribes in the Omo Valley. So my son is used to a very transient life. From the time he got his 3-month vaccine, yes, I said it, I vaccinated my child.
These days, very controversial.
He's vaccinated. We were on a plane. And our first trip was South Africa, obviously. And then a month later, we were in Melbourne. And I think with having 2 sets of families on opposite ends of the world,
Your husband also from here?
He's from Melbourne.
Oh,
I crossed over to the dark side.
Oh, Australian.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not much
okay,
we agree on in our house.
Well, no one's perfect.
Yeah. He doesn't break dance, thankfully, though.
Oh my
Which
God!
is phenomenal.
That woman. What do they
I
call her
love
now?
it.
Doctor.
It's
What is it?
Reagan.
Dr.
Reagan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just the greatest thing.
But you know what? You
I
got to
love-
love Australian pride. Like they're defending that to the tilt. They are going all out.
Dr. Reagan is the best thing.
Yes. The best thing on the
that came
internet
out of
this
the
year.
Olympics.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine flying to Paris just to stretch?
Was that even though? I mean, was that a stretch? Was it a stretch?
It looked like a warm-up. I was like, okay, when does the performance begin?
My husband, my son jumps around the house like this now going, Mum, look, I'm breakdancing.
T-Rex.
I was like, yes, buddy, that's your passport, not mine. So that's not my problem. So he's used to movement. He's used to being on planes. Now that he's at school, he has to be grounded a little bit more. But if I had my way, I'd probably hybrid school, travel,
These days,
school of life kind of vibes. And my folks fly up from South Africa at a drop of a hat, thankfully, to
Okay,
babysit.
good. So he gets to see them as well.
Yeah, a lot because they step in whenever I have to step out.
Yeah, there's something about friends of mine who live in Dubai or Abu Dhabi as well. They become citizens of the world. And in a very real sense, that is a thing. It doesn't matter so much because, frankly, I mean, like nationalism is kind of a bit dumb anyway. If you can live somewhere where you can do all the things you want to do, You can get to places easily. You can explore business opportunities. You can meet people from all over the world and have a really eclectic life. I don't understand how that couldn't be optimal for just about everybody. I mean, you still get, people who like being at home, and maybe I'm one of those. But I think for anyone who wants to be a part of the world, there are ways to do that now that were never possible for our parents' generation.
Absolutely. And you see it in the kids. I see it in my son, and the things that he knows and he sees and he tastes and he, speaks, and he's learning different languages, and he knows this about different tribes and this and that. And that's one of the reasons I love being there, is the exposure that I've always craved. I'm a people person, and not in the cliched marketing sense. I thrive on meeting people. And that's what I love about my travel, is that I get to sit and meet and talk to people in different countries and connect with them. And, we do the touristy stuff, but what I value more is when my tour guide ends our tour itinerary for the day and he's like, "Do you want to come home and meet my family?" I'm like, "Yes." Wow. That's what I want to do. I want to come to your house. I want to sit at your dining table, and I want you to cook me a meal. I love it.
I'd be like, "No, we're done for the day. Thank you. I'll go back to where I go."
Well, I'm the PR face, right? That's what the crew do. They're like, "PC, we're out. We'll see you tomorrow. Call time's 5 a.m. Enjoy your dinner." I love it.
Okay. Ross says, "I've just gone from Durban to the Congo on my motorbike. Africa is by far the most unique and beautiful place with the most friendly people. Angola is a very special place. Endless beauty." That's from Ross.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much more
People
on
are
this
doing
continent.
fun stuff, man.
They really are.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple of comments in the comment section. So we were very fortunate to hang out with Eric Weinstein some time back. And he mentioned St. Helena. Have you been there before?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry, Bitcoin, but she hasn't been there. Because he's been asking for like the past 15 minutes. I had to put him out of his misery.
I haven't. I mean, the list of places I haven't been is very long. But then if I go to a place like Japan and I do it in one season, I'm like, "Oh, this is nice. I want to come back in winter." So then it's like not just ticking a place off, it's ticking it off in different scenarios. Like I was in St. Petersburg and I did summer, which was now, and I just missed the white night, where it's light the whole night. What a phenomenal city.
It is. Huh?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't
absolutely
think, 'cause
phenomenal.
people have kind of written Russia off at the
which
moment.
I don't even agree with.
No, I have a friend. It's a couple, actually. They just went to Russia for the second time in a year.
Yeah.
And they said it is unbelievable fun. St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Absolutely. And I went Russia straight off the back of the US. And the hospitality difference between the US, who are just really unhappy at the moment, really unhealthy at the moment.
Place, right?
They are
just, that picture perfect movie scene of like walking into a coffee shop with this big smile and how can we help? That is gone. That is not there anymore. I walked past bloodied needles and just homeless people on Fifth Avenue. It was very, very confronting. Very confronting.
It's them damn liberals.
I had a 5-year gap between my last trip and this one. And the difference is crazy.
I haven't been to America since 2019, and I've got to tell you, I'm nervous to go again.
Just lower those, bring that expectation bar right down to the ground, and you'll be fine.
And I used to love going. I used to go often.
I went twice a year, but I don't think it's going to be up on that list for a while.
Alex wants to know, have you traveled through the East? We don't talk about it enough. Always Europe and the Americas.
Yeah, I love the East. I tend to avoid Europe only because I think, again, it's very cliched. A lot of people do it. And the Schengen visa situation for us is always a hack. I mean, you can't get an appointment in the UAE for months at the moment. You can pick a country and I can guarantee you won't get it there either. I love the East. I love Bali. I was there for a yoga retreat in February. Had the best time.
Yeah, you look like a yoga retreat.
The best time.
Yeah,
it's actually my first one, Gareth. It's my first one.
My yoga retreat.
My best friends are yoga instructors.
The only thing missing was for you to walk in here and say namaste.
No, I'm not a yogi. I do yoga, but I'm not a yogi. I can't do the inversions, and I just enjoy. And I've only got into it recently, but my girlfriends are very good instructors, but they're not I have to be very careful. It's a very sensitive community. I'm not a I'm not a meditative type. My girlfriend's style is very like athletic, and it's great. It gives you a good balance of everything. Sure. I can't sit still. So don't ask me to sit still for 20 minutes and like go work within. Doesn't work. But we did this awesome retreat and we did loads of different classes and we ate great food. But it's not the plant eating yoga community. We're like, we'll do a yoga workout and then go have a piece of steak.
Yeah.
And that's the balance that I live
Okay,
by
I like
in
it.
life in general.
No, that's
Yeah, yeah.
good.
We need more people
We were
like you.
talking about this at the beginning of the
And
show.
yeah.
We've come full circle.
We have.
All right. So we talked a little bit about travel. We've talked about you being a mom. We've talked about your husband and you and your different careers and everything else. What's on the agenda next? I mean, this is the exciting stuff, is that you can do pretty much anything you want now. What do you want to do next?
So the new show is the baby at the moment, and getting
how
that
are you
off the
positioning
ground.
this show? Because there are also a million travel
There's
shows.
a billion.
Yeah, there's
There's
So
a million.
how do we make this one special?
So I would say if you're looking for a show that is going to give you a very honest and authentic take on a destination, not just the pretty photos, not just the fancy places that you need to go. It's very real. It's shot in a very real way as well. What you're seeing isn't being done 15 times before it airs. It's as you see it, as you experience it. Like, oh my goodness, I've just put this amazing piece of crayfish in my mouth. Look, try it, like, to camera. And the crew is shooting it that way as well. And like I said earlier, value my South African team because we are so in sync with how real we want to be. Everyone's sick of the influencer travel, right? Where you go and the place is an absolute shithole, but there's a tiny corner where the rock looks really pretty if you photograph it at a certain angle, and that's what's on Instagram. And you spent a fortune to be here for that one angle of that one rock in that one corner, and the rest of it is absolute waste of time.
Yeah.
No one has time for that anymore.
No.
It's a very real, if you're coming here, don't spend too much time here. Skip through, stay a night, go to this one restaurant and move on because the islands is where you need to be. Or don't stay in this part of town, stay here, don't eat this, eat that.
Yeah, that's a rapey part of town.
Yeah, stay away.
Nobody
The
wants to
food
be
here is
there.
absolute shit.
Nobody
You'd be
wants
better
to be
eating
in
a handful-
Rapey Central.
You'd be better eating a handful of gravel than eating in this restaurant.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So on that note, because you just brought up like the influencers, do you think that era is coming to an end?
Yes.
Because I'm so sick of influencers. I don't believe any of them. I don't trust any of them. I don't think any of them have any insights really. They've zeroed in on a niche which has become not a niche.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's exploiting the same thing. It's like the posing, the filters,
Right.
the nonsense, unimportant, platonic things that they all say to each other
Yeah.
and to us. I'm just like so over it. And I think there's this massive hunger in the world at the moment for, I hate the word, but authenticity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I
People
hate
are
the
just
word too,
Yeah, because it's been overused.
but you
right?
Yeah.
need the word.
Yeah.
No,
You-
it's
you need
everybody
it.
says they want authenticity, but when they meet with it, they're not always sure that they actually like it.
Look, my background's PR and marketing, right? So influencer marketing is a big part of it. And for the longest time, I've sat in meetings and campaigned to a brand, say, you need to work with A, B, and C. The biggest frustration is exactly what you've said. It's such an inauthentic, is that a word? That is a word.
Mhm.
It's such an
Absolutely.
inauthentic industry at the moment. And the minute I get that, even on a brief or an email, I'm like, look, that's not what I am. I'm a storyteller, or I'll even take journalist or media, but I'm not an influencer. Because the only way you can actually influence someone's opinion accurately is if you give them enough truthful information, which unfortunately in a 30-second or 60-second reel, you're not getting.
Yeah.
Or a pretty selection of photos that have been fully edited. I mean, I edit photos. It's not a knock on editing or how you pose or how you do it. It's just your messaging needs to be authentic. But in their defense, for the longest time, brands have also enjoyed that gravy train of the crap that influencers put out.
Yeah,
But I
because
mean,
it's also
for-
safe for them, right?
It's
They're
safe, and
well,
they
we're
get the
gonna
numbers, and
get
some
this
marketing
sanitized.
executive is ticking a box, and
Exactly.
they're going
It's
home going,
bottom
I've
line.
done my job, look at my insights. And I've done it. I've submitted those crappy reports to clients
Yeah.
where I've sat there on a Friday and gone, shit, I've got to report to you on Monday. Where am I going to pull insights from? Can I send this out to influencers over the weekend and cram? We've all done it.
And by the way, I mean, this is an important thing for anyone who's running brands anywhere to understand. Is that doesn't mean that you have to be awful and negative and shitty to be authentic. I mean, that's not authenticity.
No.
Authenticity is just being real.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means it's a little bit more unfiltered and unedited and uncensored. It sometimes means that the people are going to have a bit of a rough edge
Yeah.
occasionally.
Yeah.
You're going to see some things that are reality as opposed to fantasy, which is
Yep.
what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
But it can also be beautiful and positive. and optimistic, and it can help your brand along, and your brand can rediscover a personality and a character rather than a sort of a front.
Yeah.
Which is what so many of them are doing. It's a front. It's like a storefront full of mannequins, but there's
Exactly.
nothing moving in the background. And you're like, I don't want to go into that shop. It's creepy as hell.
It's a scary industry because even, and I say this delicately, even authenticity has become trendy, right?
Yeah,
like,
well, the
look at
word,
me and
absolutely,
look how real I am,
people
and
crying on the
you
internet.
know, like look at my cellulite, and look, I
Please, son, you
don't
don't
like.
have cellulite.
Everyone's got cellulite.
You lie.
Everyone.
You don't have cellulite.
Everyone's got
I don't
cellulite.
buy
But
it
it's
for-
more
don't
that-
spoil it.
Sorry, okay,
Get
I
off the
don't.
show,
I
James.
don't. I'm the
Take this-
mannequin.
Take this woman
I'm
off
the
the show.
mannequin in the store. But
Cellulite.
it's just be real. Just, you know, and particularly in travel, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be exactly what you want.
Mhm.
But the flip side of that is you also need to sometimes bloody pay. That's the side of influencer marketing that
Okay,
no
so-
one talks
so,
about.
Yeah, let's also just get into that for a second, because there are a ton of people who do travel shows or do television or do influencer stuff who are just cheapskates who are looking for a freebie.
Yeah.
They will do
there's whole
anything for a
courses
freebie.
on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen them. They're great, my butt cheeks. But have you seen? Yes, I did say that.
No, go on.
The courses on stay at 5-star hotels for free.
No.
Click
Oh.
yes.
These fucking parasites.
It's these filter, you know, these new like business
I hate
filters and
Oh, I
like
hate
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
You know what?
comment,
The one thing-
subscribe,
Oh,
and I'll
right, I
send
can't-
you my course or
Sign
my
up.
booklet.
I know
Give
someone,
us your email.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Someone who has not paid. She has not paid for a meal in my presence for 20 years. And she's not. I can't say she's a friend. She's just one of those people who's extremely good at getting other people to pay for everything for her, and she doesn't even have like the greatest personality or anything to go with it. It's not like she's fun to be with, and you're kind of paying for the entertainment
Yeah.
or anything. She's just a leech.
Mm.
And she will find ways like these videos. You're telling me that there are people who are actually marketing themselves as experts in how to get stuff for free.
Yes.
Oh, it drives me- that
100%.
drives
Stay-
me mad.
I think the tag is stay at 5-star hotels for free, comment, pick me or whatever the word
Oh,
is.
Right.
And I'll send you my guide on how to do it. And that really bothers me because I work with all the different stakeholders in this party. And at no point is that benefiting anyone at all.
Except that leech.
Except you getting, and then when you've got credible people that go to them with an idea or an opportunity
They're
or
like,
a
"Nope,
review, they're like,
we've been
no,
burnt."
we've burnt our fingers
Yeah.
with influencers. We don't want to go near, our GM doesn't want to hear about influencers. And I don't blame them because there's no accountability in this process of smoke and mirrors.
Let's be honest though, the social media is the wild, wild west.
100%.
You know, we make the rules up
100%.
as we go. And look, I'm one of those people who applauds people that take advantage of certain things. Like if you are in a position to perhaps travel for free,
Yeah.
and you are maybe the first crop of people that make it in before it becomes, as you say,
Yeah.
annoying and parasitic. Hey man, take the free trip.
I have to say this because
I'm
obviously, so
yeah.
I've had a number of incredible experiences which I didn't pay for in my life. I'm sure you have too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, there are lots of us who are going to be, especially because the media business or doing your own travel show or whatever, you're going to be offered stuff. But I have to say that there's nothing better than the first time that you pay for a really expensive business class ticket
Yeah.
or a 5-star hotel
Yeah.
with your own money. And I know that sounds crazy to people who maybe haven't ever got anything for free. And there are probably going to be people in the comments here going to say, you are so full of shit. It's fine. You can believe me. I like knowing that I'm paying for this.
Mm.
Like there's an exchange of value. I don't have to then say how wonderful it is for 3 days afterwards and feel guilty that I got it for free. It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But there is something very, very lovely about just paying for something.
I mean, it's
Just,
psychology.
that's what I want. I'm going to pay for it. That's what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
It's psychology 101. The pursuit of the goal is what rewards you more than the goal itself.
But I'm going to add to that. The reason that you feel that way is because you have a conscience attached to that consumer purchase and that consumer behavior. But you'll be surprised at how many people will go to a hotel, promise them the world, stay for 2 nights, order room service, rack up a bill, food, alcohol, whatever, walk away and not do a single post and think nothing of it. Absolutely nothing of it.
Now that's a new level of. You remember those people who used to go to restaurants and they'd order something and then they'd complain about it and they'd get it for free and then they'd go back again, try and do the same thing.
And it all filters in, I
So
think, into
horrific.
this
How do you
idea
live
of
with yourself?
entitlement, right? It's
Ugh.
just entitlement. It's,
Yeah, it is.
We live in a world of and even I'd like to think I'm at a slightly more advanced stage in my career than a lot of people that are entering the travel space at the moment. But even at that stage, for me, it's a case of this is what I can give you, and this is what I'm willing to take from you, and this is what you're going to get back. And when I lecture now and give these talks on influencer marketing, you get these faces like, what do you mean? They should be so lucky to have me stay. And I'm like, no, love. That's not how this game works.
They got customers in and out every day. They're not thinking about you.
And 90% of audiences behind these influencers are never going to pay to stay. They are all aspirational.
Exactly. So what's your value exchange?
The thing is, though,
sorry, I just want to read this quickly from Tracy. She's a photographer. She says, worst is an influencer with 5,000 followers asked me to photograph her surprise engagement and wedding. Wait for it. For exposure.
Yeah.
No, honey, exposure doesn't buy the science
I
diet.
love these stories. These
pugs.
stories can go on for weeks.
the thing is, like, I have to ask. The word privilege is thrown around a lot,
Yeah.
but it does exist in certain instances.
Sure.
Pretty privilege is a real thing. You and I would have to be blind to not notice that you are a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
And certain things are going to come a lot easier to you than they would to, someone who looks like me.
Slippery Pickles is cliff privilege. Go to hell. Yeah, what is that? But you did. Okay, so so I do think pretty privilege is a thing. But the other thing that you brought up earlier, which is another kind of privilege, whenever people talk about this word privilege, it grates me too, because the best privilege you can have is what you mentioned earlier about growing up in a home
with both parents,
where you have parents who love you.
Yeah.
And where they give you freedom, but there are also certain limitations. So you can't go out there and go wild and behave like a complete fucking maniac.
Yeah.
But you also have the ability to choose your own future, make a career for yourself, try different things. That's privilege.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Absolutely. And I mean, for us, it was, when I say us, my brother and I, it was particularly difficult. Obviously, growing up in a Muslim community in South Africa, there's your parents' rules and then there's society rules, which, we push those, we push those boundaries. I still push those. I get into a lot of trouble. Even at my
trouble is good
age,
sometimes.
I am in a lot of trouble because
you don't
for
look
me,
like the kind of
it's
person who likes following rules.
no, I struggle. But for me, it's about everything, even religion. I need to break down and rebuild to make sense for me. And I think having that grounding that I had allows me to do that. And I have to do that now for my son because he's growing up in a different community, in a different world. And, he's got a mixed cultural background to him now. And we've got to pick and choose from both sides. And I get so much shit. I mean,
really?
I put a Christmas tree up every year. I love celebrations. I'll celebrate the fact that it's Wednesday today if I can, and I'll put fairy lights up. I get so much shit.
Okay, this drives me mad. I mean,
It's silly.
I grew up in a nominally Christian family. I mean, I don't want to insult my parents and upset them. I'm not even sure if they really would get upset. But most of my life, I haven't really been religious. But I love Christmas. My favorite thing. It's just like a fun family time, gift giving, tinsel, celebrations, Christmas music. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think I should be allowed to choose that. And frankly, if I want to choose a little bit from this one or this one or this one, I can do that too without having to make it like my guiding thing. And by the way, if you do, and you are a very, very religious Christian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, whatever it might be, great.
Yeah.
I've got to the point where I'm not necessarily the big asshole I used to be, where it was important to be right. Like you do whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
Make yourself happy.
Yeah.
Raising kids is a lot harder because now you have to, in your case especially, you have to decide, what do we choose for him? Do we include this stuff? Do we not include that stuff? There's going to be stuff from your family that you leave behind. There's going to be stuff from your husband's family that you leave behind.
Absolutely.
And he might just choose a completely different path at some point.
And I mean, it's all part of tolerance, right? Like building a tolerant child is exposing him to different aspects of different cultures and Dubai does this really, really well. Some of the biggest and boldest Christmas decorations I've ever seen in my life have been in Dubai.
Yeah.
And even that you get so much criticism from so many different communities over, but it's all part of defining who you are. And yes, there's days where you post something and you get absolutely hammered on socials, and I'm used to it now, and you learn to deal with it. But it's all part of what you said earlier. It's just, that's who I am. That's my authentic self. That's my mum style. That's
well,
I
gotta say, like one of the reasons I wanted to have you in studio and to talk to you is because that was the impression I got in that first conversation we had, and you haven't disappointed. And I wish you luck with your new TV show, which hopefully we'll be able to see as well.
Yes, thank you.
When does it kick off, and where can we find out more?
It'll be on YouTube, the new one.
Brilliant.
So it'll be available to everyone. And then the next big project, hopefully, will be a children's storybook line based on travel.
Okay, now that could be fun.
Yeah, Noah's Adventures.
Excellent.
First one set in Soweto.
He's going to be an influencer without even knowing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, for me, it's just a way to bring travel into homes that may not have
it's great.
the access to it and teach them different
All right,
things.
well,
Sounds cool.
Lovely of you to come and spend some time with us this morning. Thank you to Zahirah, and thank you to our other guests this morning, Nobisutu, and of course to you, Jack. And we will be back.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, we'll be back next Monday. I'm not doing Friday's show. I've got some other stuff I have to do, so don't hate me and don't scream and shout. I promise you the rest of the team will be here to look after things. James, you're going to be looking after things, right? You won't fuck it up, huh? Thanks. Good. James and Kiwa, they're gonna hold the fort for Friday.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting. I can't wait.
Don't forget, tomorrow morning, a live burning platform on the podcast party. We'll keep you updated with all the stuff you need to know. Don't go anywhere. Have an awesome day. Ciao.
Cheers.
Bye.
You don't need to be like that. Fuck you! What did I do to you?